I was just going in here trying to make a little small short video because I'm a little bit pressed of time. And as I try to do the thing I wanted to show you, it failed, and I went in to figure out why. And then I noticed a bug in the application, and then but I had to make a video about how to fix that bug because that's quite important and interesting. And so I'm going to fix the bug in the code, and after that, I'm going to show you the little neat trick on how to debug data dictionaries in the watch, and a little tweak to that one that is important if you live in Scandinavia, I think. That's what I've heard, at least. Yes, let's get right to it. So the problem I had was I went into the application. Let's go into item. I click here. I can see that we only have these wardrobes here because we did a filter a few weeks back. And if I click on a paint, for instance, I get an error message. Cannot re-find record. And I don't remember that one being there. Where did that come from? And why? Didn't we test this? So this seems to be something with the data dictionary or something. Can I go in here and check? Well, I can see them in the list, but I cannot see them as I look at the items. So there's something at the item level. So let's go into the code and see. We are in the item view, and this is typically a data dictionary issue. So let's see on constraint. Well, we did set up some constraint, but none of these are really parent null allowed. Yes. None of these are really suspicious to be the cause of this. We do have this PB set inherit constraint to false. So I can try to remove that comment and see if we actually can find it. If we just ignore the constraints we have from the parents. So let's go to item and let's go in here. And now, of course, I get the entire list of items because we're not using that feature. But now it works. So there's something with the constraint with our parents. All right. But we want this one because we want to be able to filter on it. So we go up to the location parent, and here we have if it's deleted or if this is the constraint filter we set up in a previous video. I'll put a link to that video in the description as well, so you can find it there. But nothing suspicious here. But if we go to the item view, we have a default location as well. So these three data dictionaries are at play here. So let's see what's in the default location. We also have a similar constraint because if you only have access to a few locations, you should only be able to access those locations from the interface. So that's why we added this. But it might actually cause some issues. So let's see if we remove that. Now we're going to the item view, and now we only have the wardrobes. So now if we select one, we actually get the result. So this one blocked because if we go in and look at this, there is no default location selected. And that means that this one wouldn't have been able to be shown because it's blocked. So let's have a look at what the data structure looks like. we have the item, we have the location and the default location. And we do have constraint and constraint on those. And the item is inheriting the constraints. So when we disabled this inherit constraint, we set it false, we weren't blocked by these two constraints, because this one was actually set to blank here, and the filter says that it has to be one of those three wardrobes. So what we want to do is we actually want to activate the inherit constraint, but do not use the constraint from the default location. But we still want to be able to go in and, because now if we go to the default location, we get the complete list. We don't want the complete list. But in this case, we actually do have to do a little bit more manual. So we have to copy this, go into the lookup, and in the specific view lookup, we add this constraint. So if we now run the code again and go into item, we should be able to pick something. And if we click the default location, we actually only get those three that we have available for us. So this is the fix for that problem. And now let's go over to the small little thing that I wanted to show you about how to debug data dictionaries. And that is when we go in here, we have these watches, and we have global variables, we have local variables. So we would like to know the value from a data dictionary when we are debugging. So if we look here, we have the clear. Let's see if we go into item, find clear. There it is. And when we click, we want to add a breakpoint here. So we want to know when we click the clear, what the status is of the data dictionaries. And we can do this. Let's see, we start by picking a wardrobe as a default location. And then as I click clear here, we go into the debugger, and we can see the global variables here. We can see the local variables. We don't have that many local variables at the moment, but we want to know what's going on with the data dictionaries. So in order to get this, we can type field current value and O item DD, which is our data dictionary. And if we pick 1, it's going to be the first column. So here I got into some problems because it didn't show what I was expecting it to show, and I got this error. And I've heard that you should put a space in here, but then the 1 disappears, but there's still this comma. So maybe if I add a space here, yeah, that was. So now I can do field current value of O item dd space comma 2. And these numbers actually represents the columns. So if I had the columns, the table explorer, and go into item, you see this is column 1, column 2, column 3, and so on. So I can actually see the values, and I can also go in if I want to look at the default location. let's take the name. So field current value O default location DD2 space default wardrobe 2. So now I can see that the name is wardrobe 2. And if I step down one step, I can see that now the data dictionary of that value has been cleared. And that is one way where you actually can have a little bit more overview over what's going on inside the data dictionaries while you are debugging your code. I hope that was helpful and enjoyable, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.